Okay, everybody, welcome to the July meeting of the IRC. Thank you all for joining us. I know that right in the middle of summer tends to be a challenging time for people, so for those of you calling in on your cell phones to join us today, thanks. If I could ask everybody to put your phone on mute so we don't get feedback, that would be really helpful. And then at the end, when we have some discussion, we'll ask you to unmute your phones. I will start off, as we always do, with roll call. And the way we do this is that I will call out the campus name, and then please respond with your name as the individual attending today's conference. So let's run down the list. We'll start with Adirondack. Albany.
Hi, it's Cynthia.
Thanks, Cynthia. Alfred State.
Kelly Ludovisi.
Thanks, Kelly. Binghamton. Rockport.
Ralph Trecarton and Alita Anthony.
Thank you. Broome. Buff State.
Mark Petrie.
Kenton.
Alice Yacob.
Thank you. Cayuga. Clinton. Cobblestone.
Susan Jagensdorf.
Thank you. Columbia Green. Cornell. Corning. Cortland. Delhi. Dutchess.
Marta Newkirk.
Hi, Marta, thank you. Erie. ESF.
Bob French.
Hi, Bob, thanks. Farmingdale. Finger Lakes. FIT. Fredonia. Fulton Montgomery.
Arlene Spencer.
Thank you. Genesee. Geneseo.
Mike Stoll and Terry Spator.
Okay, thank you. Geneseo.
Mary Hope and Mike Sweeney.
Thank you. Herkimer. Hudson Valley. Jamestown.
Victoria Peterson and Nelson Griffey.
Thank you. Jefferson. Maritime. Mohawk Valley.
Sarah Belanger.
Thanks, Sarah. Monroe.
Merrill Pence.
Thanks, Meryl. Morrisville.
Ed Evans.
Thanks, Jeanette. Nassau.
Ruth Calderon.
And just so everybody's aware, Ruth is with us here at the Global Center today. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
New Paltz.
Bruce Silner, and I think Beth Vargas and Connie Pedro are there.
We're all here.
Is that the Connie?
Yes, I'm here, Connie.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Niagara. North Country.
Ed Traffin.
Hi, Ed. Old Westbury.
Mary Marquez Bell, William Lynch, John Tampoli, and Becky Evans. We're all here.
Big group. Thank you, Old Westbury. Oneonta. Onondaga. Optometry.
Mike Heiberger.
Hi, Mike. Orange. Oswego.
Philippe Skolnick.
Thank you. Plattsburgh. Potsdam.
Kelly Crosby.
Thanks, Kelly. Purchase. Rockland.
Dana Stilley.
Thanks, Dana. Schenectady. Stony Brook. Suffolk. Sullivan.
Jim Heisel.
Hi, Jim. Thanks.
Hi.
SUNY IT.
Aaron Barrett.
Hi, Aaron. Tompkins Cortland. Ulster. Upstate? Westchester?
David Bernstein and Robert Nichols.
Hello, thank you. Okay, excellent. And how about anybody from System Administration in Albany?
Beverly's here.
Hi, Bev.
Ed Engelbride.
Hi, Ed. Thanks for joining.
Jeff Gates.
And anybody else that I didn't get that joined the phone late or didn't hear their campus?
Yes, Angela LaRosa from Broome Community College.
Hi, Angela. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I just want to also let you know here at the Global Center, we have myself, Krista Northup, the Vice Chancellor for Global Affairs, Mitch Leventhal, and Anna Lubitz, who is our student intern this summer. Also on the line is Meenakshi Basak, who is taking the call from home today. So just as a quick reminder, the meeting is being recorded. And at this time, I'd like to take any questions, issues, comments from the May meeting minutes. Okay, great. So we will move right on from there. So I wanted to start off today's agenda with a few announcements about staff changes and updates. And first of all, I'm really pleased to be able to officially announce today that we have hired a manager for international recruitment and agency operations. Now, some of you may know this person as she's been in the field for a number of years. And most recently, she was working at our SUNY-approved agency in Denmark, EDU. So Kirsten Feddersen will be joining the Office of Global Affairs, and that's happening on August 1st. So Kirsten, are you on the phone?
I'm on the line, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're very excited to have you join us. And I just want to share with the group a little bit about your background, and if I miss something, please jump in. So Kirsten has been working with EDU for the past 6 years, and she's moved progressively through roles of increased responsibility along the way. Her most recent role was as communications manager, so that's certainly going to be helpful in terms of her skill set. And then prior to joining EDU, Kirsten worked at a Danish institution in the International Relations Office. So she certainly has some experience and knowledge working in a university as well. She has studied abroad in the U.S. twice, I believe, if I have that right, and has also been very involved.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, very involved in professional associations such as NAFSA as well as IRC. So we're very excited to have Kirsten start as of August 1st. And if you want to say anything else, Kirsten, you have the phone.
I just want to let you know that obviously I'm very excited to join the SUNY team, especially knowing a little bit about SUNY, having worked, as you said, for EDU and worked with SUNY for the past year. I think I've met a number of you who are on the line before, and obviously I look forward to meeting the rest of you soon. And basically I look forward to participating in and hopefully contributing to the process. So I'm very excited, and hopefully I'll see you all within the near future.
Great, excellent, thank you. Okay, and the second announcement that we have from this end is that we've been successfully able to place Sandra Burnham from Buffalo State on a 2-month secondment to Beijing. So Sandra is based in the SUNY China office, and she's doing about 80% of her time, roughly 4 days a week, for the Office of Global Affairs, and then about 20% of her time, 1 day for Buffalo State. So while Sandra is in country, she's working on a number of initiatives. She's really trying to establish the office as a contact point for students and agents. She's doing agent training. She's out there doing some fairs and promotional events on behalf of SUNY. She's really trying to get the SUNY China website fully functional. She's taking stock of the inventory that they have in the SUNY China office, including the brochures of the various campuses, and figuring out what is needed in the future. And she will also be helping us coordinate some of the promotional activities that we're doing in the fall. So we really feel like this is an important next step in structuring the office and really putting some expectations and priorities in place for the SUNY China office. So we're thrilled that Sandra was able to go. She's been there a week now, and she'll be there through the end of August. So I wanted to raise that as a resource for you, and also you may be getting some requests or some updates from Sandra in the next month and a half while she spends her time there. So at this point, I would like to let everybody know that Vice Chancellor Leventhal is in the room right now, and he's happy to take any questions or any issues at this stage. Mitch doesn't have a report this time, but would be happy to field any burning issues that anybody has.
Well, that was easy. I just want to
This
say,
is Ralph.
do you have something, Ralph?
This is Ralph from Brockport. The Path Pro project, we have an announcement of which campuses are working, but we don't have any details on when this curriculum meeting is going to occur.
That is correct, Ralph. I have a meeting scheduled with McGraw-Hill. For those of you who do not know what Path Pro is an articulation and transfer project we're working on in partnership with McGraw-Hill and the China Educational Association for International Exchange, CEAIE, which would involve creating an articulation pathway for 3-year diploma graduates of their technical college system into the final 2 years, the upper division of some of our participating technical and liberal arts colleges. And it has some other professional development components and capacity building components built into it. We have 10 campuses who are at this point involved in the discussion, and we've done some curricular evaluation and so forth, and it will be open to others in the future. But Ralph's asking about the next step, and the answer, Ralph, is that there's a meeting scheduled in early August. A couple of the team leaders will be in from China, and I'm meeting with them, and I'm sure we'll know more at that point. But it is moving forward, and it's possible Krista has information I don't have, but I'm waiting really on that meeting to find out where it's at on their side.
Thank you.
It has been moving fairly quickly, as you know. I have nothing to add to that.
Any other topics?
It's Susan Jagendorf from Cobblestill. I just like to add something on that about the Path Pro. I realized we did some preliminary mapping there, but I tend to think that there's more work that needs to be done before we can begin to look at a legitimate curriculum that might be followed. So I just hope that is discussed at the August meeting.
Well, I'll put that on the list, and they're talking about the first intake of students in China in September, which means we're still 2 to 3 years out from actual movement of students here. I mean, this project, they're not going to just take students this year and say they've met the requirements and send them over, because they need to make sure they get the English language proficiency component right, which McGraw-Hill is working on, and some of these other things. So there's going to be plenty of time before anything sudden happens here. And I think that, we'll have more information on this very soon.
Okay.
Anything else? I counted, I may have counted incorrectly, I didn't count institutions, but I counted 41 people on the line, which is pretty good. I have to say I'm very, very pleased that all of you are so supportive and that you're willing to show up on a blazing hot July day to the phone call, no matter where you are. I think these meetings, although it can take time to take roll and everything, and sometimes we repeat things, I think it's extremely important that this group continue to meet regularly and grow. I think that we're really accomplishing an enormous amount quickly. Sometimes on a day-to-day basis, it may seem like things are going slowly, but when you think about what's happened in the last, say, 3 years or 2.5 years, I think it's really been enormous. So I just want to give my appreciation to all of you for sticking with it and having patience. And, we're now going into, in a way, the final lap of the first full year of the recruiting, first full year of recruiting under this plan. We have a bunch of applications in the pipeline. Krista is going to report. I know it's north of 500. Could it have been more? Yeah, maybe. But we've had a lot to learn and a lot of systems to get in place. We don't know yet what the conversion rate will be. I don't know that we have data yet on deposits received. But it'll be very interesting to see, what the August-September numbers are. But that's not the end of it, because we really don't count success until the spring semester, until January, and that's when we'll know whether we hit our targets this time or not. But I think we're going to hit them, or we're going to come close. Maybe we'll surpass them, but even if we come close, I think we're going to come really close, and that's going to be a big success. What I can tell from the outside is there still are, there's certain challenges in terms of the application process, in terms of the application flow for those who are going through the assured admissions process. I know we have a lot that we still need to figure out. I also want you to know that I've looked at the application flow by campus, and I've noticed there's extreme kurtosis, if I can talk like a statistician. Certain campuses have had, an overabundance of applications, and then there's a long tail of a lot of campuses who've only received a few applications. This is something that in time we hope to redress. We hope that the assured admissions process allows some of those who maybe originally perhaps wanted to go to Albany to find a home elsewhere. But I think that a lot of this has to do with their own education process and training of the agents. We need to spend a lot of time going forward in the next year really indoctrinating them about, the advantages of a liberal arts style campus, the university colleges, the technical colleges, what they bring unique to the experience, and how highly ranked some of their programs are. There are perceptual issues that we have to overcome. But I'm completely confident that we're going to be able to do it. And combining getting the assured admissions process right so the applications kind of cascade through the system, and getting our messaging right and training the agents and getting them here on familiarization tours so that they truly understand why our smaller colleges that are primarily undergraduate focused are the most appropriate destinations for certain students, I think is going to help rectify that. So, I just ask all of you your patience, and I want you to know that this is something that's very in front of my mind, is trying to develop a system that really does allow us all to grow and benefit and ensures a degree of equity across the system. And I really have no other comments unless anyone has other questions for me. I'll duck out.
Anybody?
Krista, it's your meeting.
Thank you. Thanks, Mitch. Okay, so I'd like to go ahead and jump right into the international student recruitment update. So let's start with probably the topic on everybody's mind right now, fall travel. So I tried to send out some documents yesterday to frame this discussion a little bit. We are going to stick with the core 3 countries as our priority target markets, again, for the fall travel. So Vietnam, China, and India. But there are a few additions on the travel program. And we've done this because it's a way to extend our coverage to a few additional countries without really overextending the travel budget. So the discussion that we had on the last IRC call was taken into account when these decisions were made, and also how we could do some extension of the travel schedule this year in a way that made sense. So let's start with the details of Vietnam. The dates for the Vietnam trip were picked because of the way that the 3 fair circuits line up. So there's the IIE fairs, the Capstone Fair, University Fairs, and then the Capstone Community College Fairs. There will be some coordination of other activities during that time. So working with Education USA, which we did last spring, and that was successful, as well as an event with one of the new agents, IDP. I also wanted to call your attention to the fact that IDP is having fairs in Vietnam at the end of October. So for those campuses that are interested in perhaps tacking on a Vietnam visit after going to China and doing the roadshow, that is definitely a possibility given the dates of October 26th through the 29th. At the end of the Vietnam plan, and this plan is the most detailed at this point because we had the information on the various fairs, so we have been able to put in some costs for things like accommodation and per diem. At the end, you'll see the total costs, and it adds up given the cost for the fairs. So what we would like to do is to start getting an idea of which campuses are going to these fairs on your own, which campuses are interested but haven't necessarily budgeted for participation for an individual table at a fair, given the costs associated. And we'll see if we might be able to do some sharing of tables at these various fairs. So certainly I'll be there representing SUNY, but there could possibly be some cost-sharing arrangements that we work on, which is what we did in the spring with a couple of the community colleges that went to Vietnam. At the end of the plan, you'll see that there are a couple of opportunities for marketing and outreach that doesn't involve travel. And I think that these are really great opportunities. So the first one on there is a guide for principals and for education counselors within Vietnamese high schools. And AAE, which is one of the SUNY-approved agents in Vietnam, is putting that together. So it's very low cost. They're collecting a profile on campuses, and you have to provide 4 photos. And hopefully most of you have received the email directly from AAE at this point, but I did want to just mention that in case people hadn't seen that email. And then also, we're looking for, and this is probably across the board, a blanket statement, we're looking for more student testimonials. And you've all received an email from Anna recently regarding the SUNY Viewbook. But in addition to that, we're certainly looking for specific testimonials for this website, which if you visit this website, aaevietnam.com/SUNY, you'll see it's a dedicated website for SUNY in Vietnamese, so really trying to cater towards Vietnamese students. And they've done a great job with the website so far, but what we need to do is kind of ramp up the content. And I think one of the best ways to do this is to put some student profiles or student testimonials on that site. So if you could keep that in mind for the Vietnam market, that would be really helpful. And then the third possibility, in the spring, we really focused on the concept of promoting the 2+2 program to students in Vietnam. And so we had a general brochure outlining the opportunities at SUNY and really just talking about how students would do it and why they would do a 2+2 program. And we really want to ramp that up and move that to the next stage in the fall. And we want to have a list of programs that we know have been established for international students to be able to do 2 years at a community college and then have that transfer possibility. And even better is the programs where a conditional offer arrangement exists or can exist for these students. So I know a couple of these arrangements have been put in place. We've been talking a lot about it for the past several months. I know FMCC and COBOL have put together a plan and a program. So that's a perfect example of a featured program. I know Clinton and Plattsburgh have a similar arrangement. So this is the type of thing that we're looking to really profile this fall. So if you won't be in Vietnam, this is a great opportunity to send that information through so we can get that in some kind of format, brochure, document, and we'll also plaster this all over that same website that we were just talking about. On the way to Vietnam, we are adding in Thailand for a very short stopover. It'll just be a 3-day training program for the 2 agents. We now have 2 SUNY approved agents in Thailand. So the idea there is to add a little bit of diversity, stop through, do training. The dates don't line up to do any fairs, but I have made it clear that we'd be willing to do student sessions. So that's what we have so far in Vietnam. Are there any questions?
I have one question. It looks as though the most of the Vietnam fairs are in September rather than October. And I thought that our plan for China, and if we're going to do Vietnam also, would be starting October.
So as you'll see on the general oversight, the international recruitment plan, it states that in mid-October there are a few fairs. And so campuses that...
that's is that the marketing plan?
Yep.
Okay.
So IDP is holding a few fairs at the end of October, which will segue very nicely with the China trip because it happens right at the end of the China trip.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, the second priority country, India, has been a little more complicated in terms of getting information from the agents. And many of them are still working on dates. Our target time frame for India will be in early October. And the idea will be to send somebody through the Middle East on the way to India, again, tacking on another country or 2 countries to help with our diversity. In particular, in the Middle East, we're interested in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. I want to talk a little bit about these 2 countries because it seems like we have a real possibility and opportunity. So many of you are probably aware of the King Abdullah scholarship program in Saudi. I'm working on getting the list of approved campuses for that scholarship program. Right now we've got one of the agents helping me find that. But it's just come to my attention that community colleges can be recognized on that list. And in fact, students are really starting to look at that as an option, especially students who need a little extra help with their English language or with getting their GPA up. So this is really exciting because I think, from what I understand from Saudi, that this is a change for the students. And where they used to be really focused on going just to universities, they are starting to look at 2+2 options. In addition to that, on the 4-year campus side, there is a real big interest right now from the Saudi Technical and Vocational Training Corporation, I think it is, STVTC, to set up 2+2 arrangements so that students start in their 2-year program in Saudi and then transfer articulate into 2.5-year, perhaps even 3 years here in the U.S. because they do recognize that oftentimes the students will have to have some English language before they are placed into the +2 piece of it. But this seemed to be really exciting to me because I hadn't heard that so much before. I mean, it seems like this is really ramping up. So in particular, the areas that they're looking at are accounting and engineering. The campuses that are interested in receiving Saudi students, if you have already received Saudi students and you're interested in this promotional opportunity, please do let me know. What we really need to focus on is finding campuses that have single-sex accommodation options available. And also, if there's anybody on the line who is representing the graduate programs at your campus, there's very strong interest in conditional admissions arrangements for graduate students. And so that's another opportunity in Saudi and something else that we're really looking to hear feedback from the campuses about whether you have interest in that. So that's a little bit about Saudi, and that will happen. Saudi and the UAE, there's some fairs that line up very well with the travel that we'll be doing in India, the India Roadshow. And the Roadshow this year, in addition to the fairs and training as we did last year, we're really going to try hard to use this as an opportunity to do some education and outreach to consular officers in India. In particular, that seems to be one of the countries and one of our target countries where we've had the most challenges with visas this year. So that's going to be a real strong goal from the Office of Global Affairs perspective, to get in there and start to meet with our colleagues. And we've started to do some work on this to date, and we will provide a further briefing and update on where we are with the visa, on assisting and trying to get over the hurdle of visa denials in the way that we can. I mean, obviously we can't change every single decision, but just to make the visa officers more aware of what we're doing at SUNY with our recruitment. Any questions on India? Okay, so I'll move into China. So the peak recruitment season in China is mid to late October, and all the major recruitment fairs as well as the agent fairs do line up at that time, which is nice. But of course, it creates a little bit of a challenge in determining what to do. So we have decided to collate this information, and I've been receiving pretty much daily updates from various agents and organizations with their fair information. We haven't heard from them all yet, but I expect that, you know, within the next week or so, we will have a pretty comprehensive list at that stage. So in the email that went out yesterday, there was a document with the China fair information so that you could see to date what we've received, and perhaps you've even heard of additional fairs that aren't here, but this is what we've collected to date. Unlike in the past couple of roadshows that we've done in China, we're really going to try to break out of traveling with just one agent for this fall's roadshows. And I think that we have enough experience with travelers and traveling in country now to feel confident that we can break out into small groups, still to keep with the goal and the objective of traveling together and raising the SUNY brand, but doing so in a way that's a little less bound to one particular agent. And in that regard, we can do a little bit more in the various cities that we go and visit. So we may still decide that there are times to travel with agents, and I think that is very appropriate, but maybe cutting that back and doing a week with one agent, a week with another agent, just trying to keep that to a smaller portion of the overall trips. So essentially what I'm proposing that we do this fall is proceeding with the following. So letting me know right away which campuses, and some of you have already done this, which campuses plan to send somebody to China in the fall for the main recruitment fairs that start up that second week of October and go through the end of October. I know some campuses have already started to make plans on their own, but that those who haven't and that are open to coming together and making a plan together, I'd like to go ahead and convene a China Roadshow committee. And basically what we'll do is have a chance to work together to look at the schedule, give input on your regional priorities, give input on your overall priorities that aren't necessarily just agent recruitment, but other things that you want to do, and then factor that in and make groups accordingly. So rather than having this office or an agent make the groups, I really want to have that be a campus decision on how those groups are made up. So I was just looking through some information and trying to get a sense of if a campus hasn't traveled in China but is planning to travel in China, where to start to get some of this information, how to start looking beyond just Beijing and Shanghai, which is really what we want to start to do, looking beyond just those first big tier 1 cities. So if you have Chinese students, please, if you can get some data from where they're coming from, that would obviously be really helpful. If you can look at any connections or partnerships that are already established, either through your own offices or through even the study abroad offices. And then I also posted today in the SharePoint July 18th meeting information folder a report, which is a report from one of the agents in China, EIC. But it's actually a really interesting report that has a lot of information on different regions of China. The name of the report is Key China Education Statistics for International Educators. And the first half of the report talks a little bit about the demographics in China and the movement of Chinese students overseas. The second part of the report gets into regional makeup, so numbers of students graduating from university, from high school, university, and I think that this is really helpful insight as well. So that might be something for those campuses that haven't traveled or those campuses that are trying to make decisions on which cities to really focus on this fall. That might be another resource of information for you. So we mentioned the SUNY China office earlier. We're really trying to be quite strategic with that office. One of the things that Sandra will be doing while she's there is working on a non-travel strategy that's trying to leverage the relationship that we have and many campuses already have with Zinch. Now, Zinch is a marketing company. Many of you already know it. They produce leads and general branding for American campuses. They have a range of different services. Some of their services are free, so they have free profiles on their website. Some of them are paid services, such as lead generation and profiling specific programs. Zinch is very tied into social media in China and to specific social media sites, Weibo and Renren. And perhaps you've already seen this, but in June, Zinch released a press release. And that too is in the SharePoint July 18th meeting folder for your reference if you have not seen it. Essentially, the press release said that Zinch is willing to help undergraduate and graduate programs in the U.S. complete the necessary Weibo.com application process required in order to ensure authenticity of the school's postings. So basically, for those campuses that are interested in using Weibo, haven't done it in the past, you have to have your campus authorized to make postings, and they will assist you with the process of doing that. So they'll get you all signed up with your username and password, and they'll do all of that for free, including training. The next step of service that they're offering is for a fee, they will then help the school translate postings that you want to send out to students using that account. So you may send them something, an announcement that you want to go out to students on Weibo, and they would translate it for you and send that out. And it's actually a fairly modest fee, so that might be something that you think about doing. Or you might decide that, that could be something that our colleagues in the SUNY China office, if it's not an every day, every week request, but it's something that you want to take advantage of every now and then we could work with them to do that as well. So that's something that's happening as we speak with Zinch, and I really think this is a great opportunity for campuses to use social networking in China and use our resources on the ground in China that we're working hard to build up and support, and this is a perfect project for that office to help with. And then to extend the work that we're doing with Zinch even further, another project that we're in negotiations on in terms of a dollar sign for it, but we are going to progress with this, is to leverage the China 150 program. So I'm sure that most people on the line are already familiar with the China 150 program, but let me just give you a quick background for those people that aren't familiar. So in 2008, there was an earthquake that hit the Sichuan province in China. And unfortunately, it displaced a number of students in the province. The universities, several of the universities were hit rather hard, and the students were out of school. And so 22 SUNY campuses decided to host students from the province here at our campuses. And we brought in 150 students for a year, which was fantastic. And after those students went back, they were asked to write a short essay about their experience here at their American university, their American host campus. And those essays were all compiled into a book that is called New York, Let Our Dreams Fly, Experiences in the U.S. of 150 university students from Sichuan earthquake areas. And this book is just full of these amazing stories. And it's been used, this book was given out as gifts to various people, and I think it's been distributed to the campuses that have had the China 150 students. But one of the things that we realized is that this is an amazing marketing tool, an amazing marketing piece, and we haven't used it as such. So what we're doing is we're working with Zinch. They've been incredibly helpful for us in getting the rights to use the content that's in that book. And so that has been worked through already. So we have an agreement to be able to use these stories, and that was agreed by the editor in Sichuan. The book has 52 stories written by 52 individual students. And so what we're looking to do is coordinate a strategy to find these students, to post their original story from the time that they were here and from what's in the book, and then do a follow-up story on where they are now, what they've done over the past few years, now that they've graduated from their Chinese university, what stuck with them about their SUNY experience, what they would recommend to students that are looking to study abroad and look hopefully at SUNY in particular. Zinch is going to help us with this. They're going to build a mini site once we have those student follow-up stories, and we're going to use Weibo and Renren to promote the stories. And I really think that this is going to be a feel-good opportunity for SUNY. It's going to resonate very well in terms of our relationships in country. And of course, it's just a really fantastic branding exercise for all the campuses, above and beyond just those that hosted students. So I'm thrilled about the project, and we'll have more details. As I said, we're negotiating some of the details in terms of the costs and whatnot, but I'm really excited about it, and we're definitely planning to move that forward. Okay, then another.
Krista, if you need email addresses, I have a couple of email addresses for at least I know for 2 of the students who were in the program.
Excellent. Okay, that's really good. So that was one of the questions, and we were wondering if campuses still maintained relationships with some of these students. So that'll be really, really helpful. Thank you.
Great.
Do other campuses that were involved in the China 150 program, do you also have contact details?
This is Jamestown Community College. I think we probably still have 2 or 3 students' email addresses that we've been in touch with.
Great.
This is Kelly from SUNY Potsdam, and I think our International Education Programs Office has the contact information for those students as well.
Okay, excellent. Good. Okay, so then I think what we'll do is once we get to the next step with this, we'll go ahead and reach out to the campuses that had students in the program and see what emails you have. And then if you want to help us with that initial correspondence to explain the project, then that will even give it more credibility if they know you and trust you, of course.
Absolutely.
That would be great. Thank you, everybody. Good. Okay, so in the International Recruitment Plan document, the first attachment that was sent in the email yesterday, you'll see at the bottom that part 2, there are additional non-travel opportunities for campuses to do some recruitment this fall. So I just wanted to call your attention to a couple of those. We already talked about the Access American Education Principles Guide. So as mentioned, that is a catalog of U.S. institutions. The profiles will be written in both Vietnamese and in English. And the cost for that is $500. So it's an affordable outreach to do. And if we get more than 15 campuses that participate in that, it will come down to only $400 each. So that's nice. So they'll cut us a break if we have 15 campuses. If anybody has not received that email, just let me know and we'll make sure to get that to you. The deadline is August 1st to get that sent back. The other non-travel opportunity that we did last year and had a successful event in 2011 was the College Week Live Virtual Fair. So based on the success of the program last year, we've gone ahead and decided to do that again this year. And we talked about this on the last IRC call in May and got some really valuable feedback from the campuses who were on that call. So we were able to lock in the date of Wednesday, November 7th for the SUNY International Virtual College Day. And it's really great that we've got this locked in now because basically we can start promoting it. And we will, we'll really make use of the time that we have this year to ramp that up with the agents. When various people are out on the road traveling, that can be a talking point to students to say, oh, I'm glad we met you. Like, please come back and visit us at the fair. So that's definitely happening. And one of the attachments that was in the email from yesterday is the participating institution agreement. So that's exactly the same as last year. It's the same service, same price. So we just need that returned from campuses as soon as possible so we can have your commitment to that fair. We haven't locked in the time yet, but last year I believe we did a 12-hour block that covered as many markets as we could. So hopefully we'll get that locked in so that you can start thinking about how to staff the booth during that period. And then the other opportunity that is listed on the additional outreach activities without travel that I haven't mentioned yet is the one for Germany and Denmark, targeting short-term students that would come for one semester. And we've talked a lot about this, and I think that there was some questions about buying into a separate strategy and spending upfront marketing costs in order to be involved in the German and Denmark markets. So a decision has been made here at the Office of Global Affairs to support this. So we've set aside a little bit of budget money to be able to do that. Now, I decided to postpone this slightly until Kirsten comes on board because I think that obviously she's going to bring a huge amount of expertise, particularly to these couple of markets. And so I've put here negotiations are in process, and we will be working on that when she hits the ground, and we'll have a further detailed plan. But I just wanted to let everyone know that that's definitely something that we will be doing this year because there was a lot of interest in those markets, and we just wanted to try to find a way to be able to support that. Okay, so that was a lot. Are there any questions on any of what I've just covered? Okay, I don't have too much more. Just a few additional things that I wanted to update the committee on. I wanted to extend my thanks to Meenakshi, who's worked really hard on updating the agent training manual. We started this in the early spring and had it ready by just after NAFSA. It was printed and sent, a hard copy was sent to each of the agents around the world. And we're getting comments now from the agents about how useful it really is. So we really appreciate everyone's work on that, and we feel like that's, as Mitch was commenting about earlier, we're really going to keep that focus on training our agents. Another one of the comments that Mitch made was in regards to some of the challenges that we've had with various processes. And for those of you that have been involved in this from the beginning, you know that we worked hard at finding a way to use the current SUNY application without modifying it drastically, but in a way that would track the agent applications. And so we assigned each agent a code, and we trained them to insert that code into a field that was called Special Campus Project Field. And I think all in all, reflecting on the first year, that worked fairly well, but there was certainly a number of applications that weren't coded properly, and it was partly because that's not the most intuitive way for an agent or a student that's working with an agent to insert their code and to let us know that they're working with an agent. So we've been working very closely with Ed's team, the Application Services Center, to change that. And so this year, the SUNY application will actually have now an agent field. And have a list of all of our agents, all of the SUNY approved agents. So we're really, really happy that this was a great step in the right direction, and it will be much more intuitive, and we think that that will really help us capture the agent applications in a much more effective way. Another interesting development has been the work that a committee of people, and I want to thank that committee for their work, has been doing on the FSA forms. So one of the pieces of feedback that we've been getting over the last year or so is that the FSA 2, FSA 3, and FSA 4 forms, which are which are foreign student application forms or supplemental forms for foreign students, how clunky and kind of just archaic these forms were. So they were developed many, many years ago and haven't really been looked at since then. And so a committee of people has been working over the past couple of months to identify what in those forms is still useful and what is no longer useful, so that we can change the forms and make them useful for our admissions colleagues. I mean, it's crazy to have forms up there that aren't being used or that are not useful to the people that are reading these applications. So we've made very good progress on this committee. We met yesterday to analyze the results of the survey that was sent out, and again, a big thank you to all the people that took the time to fill out the FSA form survey. We had 44 responses, which I was really pleased with that, given it's a summer and people took the time and really gave us good feedback and good comments. So we're working as the committee now, but essentially there's going to be some big changes to those forms. And I think the overarching takeaway from the meeting yesterday was that none of the forms will be removed, because there still are campuses that are using the forms in some capacity. But we will update the forms so that they look more in line with the SUNY branding and they're more useful. For example, several of the forms don't have email address on there. So, things like that will be changed. And the wording for international students on the SUNY website will be changed so that students are really encouraged to check with the individual campus to be sure that they have and know the requirements of the campus. So the forms will be there, but especially the FSA 2 and the FSA 3, which are not being used very much or by very many campuses, will be a little less prominent on the website. Will still be there for use, but will hopefully not be confusing for those campuses that don't use those forms. They'll just be to the side for those campuses that do. Now, the FSA form was a little bit different. The FSA 4 form was a form that generally is being used, and the FSA 4 form is the financial form, and we had a very strong response that form is being used by a number of campuses still. So that form will be very prominent still, and we'll make sure and update that so that campuses have feedback and it's prepared in a way that's useful for you. And that's going to be really important to the people that are doing I-20s. Okay. In addition to what I've already said about the SUNY website, we are developing right now new content for the international page of the SUNY website. And I want to thank Anna for your input on that. It's been really nice having a student working in the office because it gives a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective on that. And so many of the profiles that we have been asking you for, the student testimonials and profiles, we're going to try to use pieces of those to really give the general SUNY site a little bit more of a personal feel to it as well. And that's a little bit hard, of course, from system administration's point of view, but I think that it's important that we try to incorporate that. So that's the goal. And that new content will hopefully go up in the next couple of weeks. We're very close to having it ready. And then the last thing is the international prospectus. So the international prospectus, I hope you're all familiar with that at this stage. It's the view book that has the student faces on the front and is geared just towards international students and profiles just the opt-in campuses at this stage. And we are revising it, and we have more time this year to revise it and edit it for the fall recruitment period. So that's what we're working on. So thank you very much to those campuses who have already given your updates to Anna. One of the pieces of feedback that we got last year was, why are we using the exact same profile from the domestic guide, when we're trying to recruit a different cohort of students? And that was a very legitimate question. And the reason why we did that last year was just totally based on time. We just didn't have the time to revise these. But this year we do have the luxury of a little more time. And so we are giving campuses the opportunity to update those so that it speaks more clearly and specifically to the international student population. So thank you to those campuses that have replied. How many are those? 16 who have already replied. So a few more to still get back to us, and I think we put the initial deadline by this coming Friday. So if you can let us know where you are with that by Friday, that would be really helpful.
Oh.
Is there a question on that? Okay, my last piece of business today is to just remind everybody that the IRC meeting schedule for this next year went out a few weeks ago. If you have any huge conflicts with these meeting dates now, please let us know. There may be something that we missed. We tried really hard to coordinate with various colleagues and committees across the system to make sure that we weren't conflicting, but it's possible we missed something. If you don't have those dates, I can send those to you again. And if those look open on your calendars, if you can just go ahead and mark those out and save the dates. And hopefully we can keep continuing with these productive meetings and keep everybody in touch and communicating as regularly as possible. So with that, I think I am done with my report, and I'd like to open it up to the committee to have any discussion or questions or comments.
Hi, Krista. This is Morella Fiacco from SUNY Canton. I was just wondering, welcome, Kristen, and I was just wondering what capacity is Kristen going to be in, or you're still, I'm assuming, going to be involved in the IRC?
Well, yes. Well, I still be involved, definitely, and Kirsten will also be involved in the meetings, and probably taking over chairing some of the subcommittees as well. And also, just to take that to the next step as well, I know that Mitch and Sally are both very committed to the IRC, and they have blocked out the time in their schedules as well. So we tend to try to have one or both of them at these meetings where possible, to be sure that we're communicating bigger policy updates and strategic thinking, in addition to some of the more detailed discussions about the actual planning and marketing elements of this as well. But that's a great.
So as far as the agent's questions and things like that, should we still be contacting you or her, or are you dividing the world, or?
Oh, no, that's a good point. We haven't really gotten to that stage of dividing it up yet. So I think just keep me as the primary contact for now, and I think it will kind of organically divide out as we progress, and we'll give you a further update once Kirsten gets started and we work through some of those questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you can always contact me. That's totally fine.
Hello, Krista, can you hear me? This is Connie Pedro from SUNY New Paltz.
Hi, Connie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I have a point of an informational question. I'm interested in what the SUNY relationship is with the Saudi Arabian Cultural Mission in recruiting students.
Okay, so I understand. So SUNY in general, I'm not sure that we've had much, and I only know the past year and a half myself. So there might be relationships that I am not aware of, and that's very possible. And I will ask that question and find out more. I'm sure that there are campuses that have relationships. I've heard from colleagues on the IRC that they've been to Washington, D.C. to visit and have had meetings. So I think that there have been a few of our campuses who have been engaged as SUNY collectively. I don't know that we've approached them to explain what we're interested in doing as a system. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that, or Lori, are you on the line? I don't know if Lori Thompson's on the line. But we can find out more too, Connie, from Lori Thompson, who's the Director of International Programs, to see if there's been a relationship in the past, non-recruitment focused, but any relationship in the past. I do understand that that's a very important component of working with Saudi Arabia. And so if people are knowledgeable and have contacts, I'd be most interested in learning from you and understanding that further, because that will be an important part of the strategy, and we'll want to make contact very soon, especially if we are able to get this trip locked down. I understand that the process is a bit challenging to get visas, and there's a lot of components that we need to consider if we're sending somebody to Saudi. But our intention is to do so, so we're trying to get this done the right way. Anything else? Do we lose everybody? Hello? I know exactly what happened. The meeting was scheduled for 1 hour. It was a mistake. And I caught it before. And they made the change apparently, but clearly it didn't work. I timed up. It's really embarrassing. Okay, well, we're done.
Great. Krista, actually, I had a few questions about the application, because we're not using the SUNY Common application.
Right.
I think Rosemary's trying to work that out.
Yeah.
Still. But it is like kind of hard for me to keep track of the agents, especially when it's a SUNY agent. Like sometimes, as I said, they will say, I'm an agent, and that's it. But you're telling me that they have codes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which they put on the application. But since they're not using our application, I guess this is something that I will have to add on the application, on our application.
Yeah,
But do you keep track of that?
Yes.
Do you need? Okay.
We do have to keep track of it because they're going to want their commission.
Oh, and you need. Oh, yes, I remember when Rosemary asked me how many students we had accepted through agents.
Right.
We had only one, I think, last semester. Now this semester we have about 3 or 4.
Good.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Great.
really good.
Yes. So I was concerned about that.
I know, and there are some systems that that are required to get coordinated, I suppose. And I mean, all of this is what Mitch was alluding to in terms of rolling the systems out and getting them established, and making sure that we're on the same page, because it is a new procedure for all of us. So I don't see it as an issue that you have your own application. We've put in the agent training manual, I should have brought it down, in the profile that students applying to Nassau have to submit your application form. And written in this booklet here, it's you saw that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's fine. It's just putting something in place so that when you get the application, it's clear to you that it's an agent application, and then
it's a student agent. Because we receive a lot of applications through agents, not just to SUNY.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not really a lot. It's just like a few SUNY, maybe 1 or 2 from different countries.
Yeah.
Sweden, Germany.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One. But it is like when it comes to how many do we have through SUNY? Is this person a SUNY agent? It's hard to tell sometimes unless I ask directly the person. And on our application, we don't have anywhere that says, is this through an agent or anything like that. So the student completes the application with the information.
Right.
And we contact the student through, the information that has been provided on the application. So it would be a personal email, not an agent specifically.
Right.
So this is why we kind of had a mixed up with the student. I remember this one student from the SUNY that had applied to SUNY, but because there were 3 agents actually, following up on this application. But I was mainly contacting the student because I found, I didn't see anywhere. Maybe the agent did put a little piece of paper,
right?
Because that's what I usually get, a piece of paper that says, "Agent, please contact me or forward me any information." But
that's what we've said to them if they're submitting a paper, an application directly to the campus, which some do, even the ones that accept the SUNY app.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried in our training sessions to make it very clear to them that they should put a cover letter on saying that they're a SUNY approved agent and which agency they're with. Mm-hmm. So I hope that that's one way that, down the line will assist you.
Yes. I guess a code would work
a
better.
Code we have,
I don't know if it's really a SUNY agent,
right. Well, do you have the list of agents? Because you
I do have.
Yeah, because you could just cross check it on there, and that's something we'll always provide an update.
I had one from China, but I was talking to, I think, Wang something. He wasn't on that list, but his manager, because he told me I am the manager or something. And Monica Gia, with our team, she is there on that list, but this other person is not.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's okay as long as it's affiliated with the company.
Yes. Sometimes they use the SUNY email address, so I know that.
Yes, and that's actually the people that are working in the SUNY China office. Mm-hmm. So they're legitimate people that we are. They're helping with those applications. So they're not collecting a commission fee that particular office. Oh. They're helping the other agents if they have questions. So in the case of the one that because I was copied in on that, there's an agent called EduGlobal.
Yes.
And they had the application initially. They weren't sure how to contact you. So they asked Monica and Elton, which are the 2 people in the SUNY China office, if they could get in touch with you. And so they forwarded that email to you.
Oh, okay.
So that's
I did
slow.
actually get to speak with the one from the China office.
Kathy?
No. From the Edu Global.
Edu Global, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He called one morning. Actually, it would be night over there, right?
Yeah. 12 hours difference.
He called me in the morning.
That's good.
Yes, to follow up on that application, and but like, I'm familiar now because it was the first time that I heard from that Edu Global office.
Yeah.
Because it's, as you said, it's agents, like different kinds of agents asking for either emailing us to have, connections or to work for us.
Right, sure.
It's hard to keep track.
I
sometimes,
understand,
especially
yeah.
When we're about to meet the deadline.
Yeah.
It is like hard.
So anytime you get approached by an agent, feel free to send that through to us, and we will give them the spiel. Have I sent?
Yes,
I've sent that
yes,
to you. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and then you can just, fire that away, and we will be sure to follow up with them.
Okay.
So that might help, and then having that list of agents, I think that's a good way to check.
Yes.
Just to double check on your end. But yeah, I know it's a new system and new procedures are required, so it's getting used to it. And
Yes.
if there's things that would be helpful, ways that we can get you that agent list that would be more useful, or formats and that kind of thing, let us know.
Well, also this comes from Rosemary's end because she's right now working on grants and she couldn't come. I think she wasn't even on.
Oh, that's okay.
She's always in meetings. So we had like 4 students, as I said, through the agent, which is amazing because we only had 1 last semester.
Yeah.
But then again, we do have applicants from China.
Yep.
A lot of applicants. But for some reason we're noticing that the number of applicants is decreasing. It's decreasing. So we're not sure what's going on, like why, maybe the economy. So we were trying to find ways in how to actually get a number up through the agents. Because also went to the NASA conference.
Right.
And she told us most of the agents are actually looking for 4 years university. Not really interested in community college, just 2 years community.
Yeah, that's partly true, I guess. But it's partly, hold on just a second. I'm sure somebody's calling.